And we're live. Hello and welcome to D.U.D.E, Dulky and Over Delirious Escapades. I'm Over Yai.
And I'm Dulky.
So, yeah, to start off, I just wanted to say that I gave the previous recording to a few people, and the reception was actually decent, quite good. I was not expecting people to have any interest in it because we were just like chatting, but turns out people did enjoy it. So, yeah. I
People
mean, I
like
didn't
weird
show
stuff,
it to
man.
like a million people, but the few I showed it to was they were quite okay with it. They quite enjoyed it.
I'm actually impressed with the patience of listening for two guys talking about what an hour and a half.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. It's well,
Especially in this
that's
day and age.
basically yeah, especially since it was a very long one. And yeah, to start, I wanted to know. You mentioned something. I think it was yesterday or the day before that when you were on your way to Risica.
Hmm.
You talked about a cart or sleeping in a cart. What the fuck was that?
I don't remember how you pronounce it in English. It's like a sleeping train cart. So a train is made up of
Oh
different cars.
yeah, okay, yeah.
So you have like the
For some
second
reason,
class,
I was
first class.
picturing you in a cart pulled by horses, and I was like, what the fuck was he doing in a fucking cart? Okay, so a night train. You took a night train and you slept.
A night train,
Uh,
really? That's what it's called?
I don't know.
I
It's
don't know.
usually a train that goes by night, and you have sleeping place. You have like beds or stuff like that where you can sleep.
That's pretty cool though. It sounds like something that Batman would have, like
A
there's a
night
night
train.
train. And you can only travel by night and it has like special powers or whatever. Or things.
Well, but then
That's
he's stuck to
actually
tracks. He can only go solve crimes in very specific areas.
solve train crimes. That would be an interesting plot for a game. I'm actually having all the action partake in a train.
Well, you
Be
can
like a
play the tracks of I forgot there's a Zelda game where you're on actually on a train and you have tracks. It's one of the worst ones.
I think it
Uh,
would work best for like a mystery solving puzzle type of thing. You would
yeah,
need to find a killer or something like that. Not
yeah,
bad.
you could have that, I guess, but not just one like the Murder on the Orient Express, something like that. But as a game where you have more than one thing to solve.
Exactly. Although no, I've never seen the
Yeah.
movie. Heard about it though.
Well, I think you should read the book. You'll get more out of it.
Well, usually.
Mhm.
By the way,
It
have
could
you
be interesting.
ever?
A world where people just kill other people on trains. Like that's what they do. That's how they settle scores.
Obviously,
The
like
trains of death.
you would have like the train mafia in one part, and then the train yakuza and the triad.
Or you could be like you can go and settle scores in trains, and like the police has a week to let's say a week to solve the murder, and if they cannot catch you, that's it. You go free. Like there is no more there aren't any repercussions.
Just like in real life.
Just like yeah, just like in real life.
Yeah, it would be cool to play the role of a murderer. Huh.
Yeah. Oh, it could be like a multiplayer thing as well, like a whodunit.
Well, yeah, yeah, because there's a game. I'm sure there's different variations of the game in different countries, but it's in Romania. It's just like a social game that I found called Mafia, where you would
Mhm.
play with like a lot of people at a table. It's like a drinking game, sort of, where you have like a policeman and a prostitute and a thief and a killer.
It's like werewolves.
Like what?
Werewolves. It's the same thing. Like at night, a crime takes place, and then during the day, the villagers or like the civilians have to find out what's going on,
Exactly.
and you
Exactly.
have to single out the murderers and the criminals.
Well, kind of Among Us type of game, but
Yeah,
uh, just in real life. It's a lot of fun actually. I really enjoy playing it.
yeah. It's nice because usually people are in punching distance compared to
Yeah.
Among Us, where people are just like you cannot catch them.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are they're very fun games to play, especially when you are with friends who are quite comfortable with one another. Then you can really like play a role instead of being shy.
Exactly.
and that it does for great narrative.
And you can backstab them and betray them and everything, and it's really nice. Love that. By the way,
Mhm.
actually, I had a question about this. Um, Going back to like games that we used to play in our childhood and everything. What was your favorite childhood game? But not like a video game, just this type of social game or whatever.
Mm, drinking. I really enjoy drinking.
I'm not sure that's a game, although there are a lot of games involving.
Well, we made games out of it. Like when I was a teenager, we would often go to the same places, and my friends would send me to other tables, and we would bet drinks. To like we would take beers, like pints of beer, and we would do speed drinking against other tables. And I haven't lost yet to anyone in speed drinking.
In speed drinking beer.
Yeah, it's awful. It hurts the
Yeah, yeah,
belly. It's the worst thing. But still, I'm I'm still undefeated.
interesting. Well, the only time I had ever played with like a drinking game was me and a buddy of mine were at close to Rishitz actually when I was about 15, I think, and we went to this like camping site, something like that, where a lot of people would go with like tents and cars and everything. You would sleep in a car and all that, and you would have like free lakes around it. And you would go fishing. It was amazing time. We have bonfires and everything. And one night I bet this friend of mine that who could drink a liter and a half of a bottle of a liter and a half of wine, who could
Oh,
drink the fastest. And that was like the first time I ever drank like heavily, and I drank it in about 7 minutes or something like that.
oh, okay. No, yeah, that kind of. Okay, yeah. I thought you were like chugging the bottle, and I was like, oh, a liter and a half is a
I
lot.
was trying to chug the bottle, but it was difficult. So that's why it took a bit longer. But I blacked out in like half an hour, and that was my first actual blackout. Before. And oh man, I did some wild stuff. Actually, I had a girlfriend at the time there, and I just forgot where I left her. So I ended up making out with my friend's mom because I thought she was my girlfriend because I was too drunk to tell the difference. And it was
Okay, so wait, I'm going to stop you there. So before we continue, we're just going to go into part two, where so that people get to know us a bit better. We prepared 10 questions each. We haven't seen each other's questions, and my first question was actually going to be, have you ever cheated on a partner? So please continue continue with that.
well, this doesn't count as cheating actually because we were
It definitely counts as cheating.
was no predetermined discussion on where together whatnot. So in my book, it didn't count.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
sure
just
that's
like
how it works.
it's like a bonfire girlfriend. No, but that those don't count. You're at the bonfire having fun. It's a bit cold. Someone's telling a creepy, frightening story. There's a girl next to you, so you try to make her feel safe, and all the fire
Oh,
and the
you were just
fireballs and
hooking
stuff.
up with the girl. You were not
Yeah,
like a couple. Ah, okay, okay, yeah.
exactly. So that's why I said bonfire girlfriend. So they don't count. So
Okay.
yeah, so I got pissed drunk, and I only remember parts of that night, and just waking up the next day in like a puddle of vomit in front of me with a lizard looking at me directly. That was very weird. I'm not scared of lizards, but I am scared of snakes. If it was a snake, I would have been terrified. And apparently that night, a bear came by and ate all our food. Because when you
Mm,
go, in Romania we're famous because we have like the largest
yeah.
population of
Actually,
bears in
once
Europe.
I was in Brasov, and the cart was stopped because a mother bear and her cubs were roaming around, so we could not go up the mountain.
Yeah, and yeah, so usually whenever we went out camping, we would put our food in like bags and put them in trees. So if a bear did came by, would they would eat off the trees and not go in a tent and eat us. So and it
Hmm.
worked. Yeah, fun times.
Yeah. So getting back to my
What's
first
the
question.
question?
So have you ever cheated on a partner?
Yes. Although, what is cheating
No,
really?
you. Um,
How would you define it?
doing something you wouldn't want your partner doing to you.
Huh. Fair enough. Then yeah, yes, I definitely cheated.
uh, I don't know if it's still recording. I'm having an alert, like lost
I had
connection.
the alert as well, but it shows like it's
Yeah, but
recording.
it
So
still looks like it's recording.
let's pretend it is.
Hmm. Okay, so what's your first question?
But my first question was regarding your favorite childhood game. As I said, you said it
Oh,
was
okay.
the
So
Tiki
yeah.
game. Yeah.
So I'll let you go for the second question. Just go first.
Okay. Um. By the way, a lot of these are a bit random. I didn't necessarily prepare them just so we can, because a lot of the questions will pop up, in the next episodes and stuff like
Yes,
this. So
definitely. It's just like a little game to talk a bit about ourselves.
yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one. Describe how was your first time? Because for me, it was so fucking weird.
Um, my actual first time was it was nice. It was quite I want to say classic. Like there is nothing special. I was together with my girlfriend for I had been with her for a while. I was like 15 at the time. We had been together like a month and a half or so, and we decided to have sex, and that was it. Actually, never looked back.
How old was she?
She was 16. She was a year older. I tend to usually date people who are older than me.
I used to do that as well, up until, well, I'm 33 now, so and I date younger.
Hmm.
That's the perfect ratio.
Why was yours weird?
Well, first off, I was a virgin, and as
Well,
any,
it's your first time. You're supposed to be a virgin before it happens.
yeah, well, usually that's the case, I guess, yeah. Um, but no, it's just that when you're a virgin, you never mention that you're a virgin. So that's like the rule book, and you always pretend.
Why wouldn't you know?
I didn't know better. I didn't know any better.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I
All
can
my
see
friends
that.
pretended
Mhm.
that they weren't virgins as well, and we used to share stories about how we would fuck all these girls, when in actuality we would just fuck our right hand. So we had no idea what we were talking about, but we pretended like we did. So in the end, what happened was I was with this girl, and well, she fell in love with me. With me, I was kind of using her just to have sex. Really, I just wanted to reach that point. Wasn't really interested in her,
Mhm.
and I kind of played with her head a lot. I was like, it was,
Played with her head?
yeah, I played with her head a lot. Like I was about 16, troubled adolescent, the same old story. So what I did was I make her break up with her best friend. I was constantly lying to her about where I was and just not wanting to meet her and everything. I was just an asshole, really.
Hmm.
And I kind of played hard to get that I didn't want to have sex with her and everything up until she just plain up insisted and said, "Look, we're having sex now. Like I need it." Like, okay, girl, but if it doesn't work out the way you want, it's not my fault
Shit.
anymore.
It's getting real.
Yeah, so then we ended up going to the forest because in Rissa it's surrounded by a lot of hills and forests. And worst decision I ever made because the only thing about sex that I knew was what I saw on pornos. So when it happened, it was so strange because there were always all these noises from nature and flies buzzing about and ants on my feet and doing it on the ground was very uncomfortable and it was like weird noises that nobody told me about during sex and because of all the pressure and noises and everything, I got distracted and I can really have like a full mast, let's say. But the tip went in, and according to the bro code, if the tip goes in, it does count. So
Just the tip.
just the tip, yeah. Literally, for me, it was actually just the tip because
Yeah, you were pushing rope. I guess you were having um how it's called, performance anxiety or something like that. Like you, yeah.
yeah, I
I
was
see.
nervous. I was nervous. I was very nervous, and it was just
Hmm.
not the right environment to do it. Years later, I did it in the forest. It was nice, but I knew what I was doing. But otherwise, no, it was just super weird the first time.
Yeah.
Then, just like 2 years afterwards, I ended up actually having sex. Also, of course, with an older woman who taught me. And my first encounter was actually a blowjob. And again, it was very weird. It felt very wet, and it was nothing like I imagined in the porno movies. Pornos really disappointed me, to be honest.
Yeah, I've noted that for the third part. We're going to get back to that too. I think in every podcast we're going to have a section talking about porno.
Of course.
I think that's what's going to happen. Um, yeah. So my second question is, what did you study?
Where did I study?
No, what did you
Oh,
study?
what did I study? Oh, I actually started studying. So for people who lived in this town, it's a small town. Basically, they had the option to either go to Timișoara or to like Cluj, which is like in Transylvania, or in Bucharest, the capital.
Hmm.
So most people go to Timișoara just because it's like 100 kilometers, very close. Yeah, decent universities and everything. But I wanted to be more independent. I didn't want to come home every weekend and have my mom, wash my clothes and everything. I just wanted to experience adulthood on my
Be
own.
a man.
And be a man. And I said, "Fuck it, I'm going to Transylvania. I've been there, so that's where I'm headed." So I started going with like the tide at the time. It was 2008, and a lot of people were started doing like these classes for European institutions. So actually, the first faculty that I went to was management of European institutions, which
Hmm.
sounds very pompous, but it's just a poor excuse of a university. And I stayed there for like 2 years. I just didn't like it because it ended up being one of those faculties where if you weren't among the best and also have some kind of political connections, you would end up nowhere. Worst case scenario, maybe working in the government in some like lame ass job. And for maybe people don't know, Romania is, well, while it is in the EU, isn't it's not the most transparent government in the world, let's say. So it is kind of corrupt. So you have a lot of nepotism and stuff like that. So I wouldn't want to work there. Yeah, so I did 2 years at uni for this kind of faculty. And then I just started doing something that I liked, which was modern applied languages. So I started learning English and French, then developed this into it was like the Faculty of Letters, the
Yeah. Hmm.
standard one. And then I started specializing in translation and interpretation, like conference interpreting. And afterwards, I went to Bucharest. I moved to Bucharest, where I live currently, to do my master's in conference interpreting in English and in French. And interestingly enough, those 2 years for me were the hardest years of school that I've ever had. But it was the most pleasurable as well. It was very nice. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a bit about it.
Um, I don't remember when we first met. Were you were done with your studies, or you were completing your last year?
When we met at Uni.
Ubisoft. Yeah,
You were the boss man. You and
exactly.
Daniel, I think it was his name. God, I hated that guy.
Dan.
And Dan,
Dan was his name.
yeah, Daniel, whatever.
Yeah. Remember when we said we were not going to give names?
That was that guy. Yeah. So yeah, that's when we first met, and that was in 20. That was in 2013. Uh, was it 2013?
No, 15. It
In
was
15.
15. I
Okay,
arrived in
then
Bucharest
it
in 15.
means it was right after I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to work during my masters, but I just used the same old excuse that no, no, it's too much to learn and I can't do both. Although I could
Yeah, I know. That's been the excuse of my life. I cannot do two things at the same time.
have. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you go on for the third question.
All right. Oh, actually, I've noticed you did travel a lot, and I was just curious, what was your favorite place that you ever lived, and why?
Mm, lived, I would
I've not
say
visited
Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Canada. It was really nice, mostly because there is nothing. It's just nature everywhere.
Always good,
You
yeah.
have a few cities, but most of it's just like forest. It's very beautiful, and the people. I absolutely love Canadians, and
Which part of Canada did
I
you live in?
I was in Quebec at the time.
Oh, in Quebec.
I was living in a town called Shawinigan, which no one knows where it is. Like even Canadians, you ask them like, "Where the fuck were you living?" It's a very small town, in between Quebec and Montreal.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was actually very nice. I quite enjoyed it there. Um, I also liked Ireland, but I would have to go back there. I was very young when I was in Ireland, and I didn't really take advantage of visiting the country. I was mostly in Dublin all of the time, and I enjoyed my life there. I was partying a lot, but as I said, I was quite young when I was there, so there's a lot I didn't see, and I need to go back.
Well, that's
I need
cool.
to go back.
And
Mhm.
how long did you stay in Canada?
Canada, I was living there for 10 months, I think, something like that. Living and working there, but I could not get my papers to stay permanently, so I had to come back to
Really?
Europe.
Why the fuck?
Yeah, because I applied for work visa while I was already there, and I think that was a mistake. I should have done it before leaving for Canada.
Interesting. Huh. Okay.
My ex at the time, she was French, and they had some accords with France, and she got hers quite easily. But I could not stay with mine because we were not like married or anything. I could not apply it for like a family visa or something like that.
How did you get along with the language there? Was it
They
difficult?
speak French.
I know they speak French, but they speak Canadian, which
No,
is
I never had any issues with with Quebecese. I don't know how you would call it in English.
just a
With Québécois.
Quebecois.
To me, it sounds perfectly normal. I quite enjoy it, and
So,
uh, I
so
don't think it's weird. I enjoy it. I like it.
it's just a weird comment. Well, maybe because you're a native French speaker, it's not that weird for you. But for example, for me, I had to learn it as a third language. Um, the way they talk kind of reminds me of like, and I studied this a bit. Apparently, their dialect is from like the if I'm not mistaken, Brittany dialect that was during like Hugo's time, something like that. So a lot of the words that they use now, they use then. So instead of saying like for car, which would be voiture, they would use a char, which would be
Char, yeah.
like a car.
They have a lot. Like it sounds like Old French.
Like old French, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's close to Old French, but from a region, not the Paris French. But no, it never bothered me. Maybe because I was already familiar with a lot of expressions and stuff like that.
Mm.
And to me, the accent. Well, I don't really say that they have an accent, but let's say if they were to have an accent, it doesn't really phase me. My brain just gets it. I don't have to translate it to continental French
Yeah, it's just that maybe
for me to
because
understand.
you're a native speaker, it's easier to get all the nuances and everything. For me, the weirdest, well, two weird words that I found there was, and they're both expressions, if I'm not mistaken. First is a swear word, which I just found hilarious. Like people shouting at me over the phone because I work like in a call center for
Which one? Hostie? Chris? Tabernacle?
Tabernacle. Oh my God,
Yeah,
that was
Tabernacle.
like,
Yeah,
what the fuck
they
is that? It
use
just
they
sounds
use
weird.
Tabernacle is the place where you would put the Bible in the church. At where
Really?
the priest puts the Bible down. Yeah, most of their insults are actually church words.
Huh. Interesting.
Hostie is the body of Christ. You know that paper that you eat. That I forgot the name. The communion thing.
Yeah, like the chip looking thing.
The bread. Yeah, that's hostie.
Yeah.
And Chris is the Christ.
Huh.
So they use a lot of religious word as insults. They have a very complicated relationship with religion in Canada, which is understandable because it was really fucked.
In Canada? How so?
Oh yeah. Well, I think one of the most recent thing is one of the school churches that buried all those native kids under it, that they were killing kids and stuff like that.
Shit.
Yeah, yeah, they have they have their own like weird stories and shit like that. It's not cool.
I would imagine, yeah. That's, huh. I didn't know that. Interesting.
So
Okay.
my third question is, what are your views on global warming?
um, huh. It's kind of a tough. What I would say is, I do believe it's real, right? It's not something that, the people imagined. However, um, I just think that the solutions that a lot of politicians are coming up with are over the top and will do more harm to everyone than actually help. I've noticed that in the last maybe 10, 20 years at least, a lot of the science fields have become very political. And I can understand why, because you would have like a researcher who would maybe try and study something very, very important from a scientific point of view, um, whatever science field it is. However, they don't receive any grants for it from the government or from private parties because maybe it's not that interesting to them. So what they end up doing is they kind of come up with studies for topics that are politically interesting, and try to present those studies or let politicians present those studies in a manner where they would use parts of those studies to convey a certain narrative from a political point of view.
Hmm.
So that's my problem there. Yeah, clearly global warming is happening. However, for people who like studied a bit of history, they'll find out that global warming is like a constant effect in the Earth's atmosphere. It's been happening for millions and millions of years. We even had like the most recent little ice age in like the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that is true. We did have that, but the narrative you're spinning now is actually something that is used for by, let's say, oil companies and stuff like that to justify what they're doing. It is not the truth. It is true that there are cycles in warm periods and cold periods. However, the warming that we're seeing is directly linked to
Human
human activity, and it is also I don't know if you've read I forgot the name in English. In French it's GIEC, the report they did last year. Not only is it happening, we're also too late to stop some of the effects now, and we can only limit some of it, but we cannot stop. We've already done too much damage. But this, I think, is a topic we should the like going in depth in it would be a topic for another podcast, because we would need to like dedicate a lot more time discussing the point, like like what you just said, for instance, and what the counter arguments and the scientific proof is regarding that, for instance.
Not only that, but also, and I agree with you that human activity is in part to blame for what's happening. However,
Yeah.
if you look at the different countries, you will also see a very big difference in how they treat recycling and how they treat the spread of global warming. So, in my opinion, the best and only way to stop it, or at least to alleviate the disastrous effects, would be the way that the left unfortunately doesn't like to hear, which is we should make as many people as rich as possible as fast as possible. Because in general, um, rich people kind of take care of the environment. And I can see this in Romania as well. In rich neighborhoods, for example, people are a lot more civilized in the sense that they don't throw the cigarette butts on the street, for example, or they would use recycling bins and everything. However, if you go in like the rural areas, and I've traveled to India as well, they don't really care about the environment because their main concern is if they have food on the table the next day. That is their top priority. So of course they don't care about putting plastic to plastic and cartons and whatnot. It's not their priority. So
Well, in
yeah,
Romania, they mainly use rivers
exactly. Yeah, they throw it in
and the
the
ground.
rivers.
Actually, the ground generally as a leader. That is an argument that. So I'm not partisan of either side. I'm not neither right nor left. I think that there are some interesting ideas on both sides of the aisle. Um, and but the thing is that you're focusing on the individuals, where the individuals impact, if they were to be decent human beings and take care of the environment, would be minimal compared to what companies produce. It's something that needs to be enforced, I guess, by governments on companies if a real change is to happen. But yeah, again, we're going to do a deep dive on that on a future podcast, because there's so much to say about this. The My fourth question is, what is your favorite dish?
Huh. To eat or to make?
Both. Let's say to make and then to eat.
Well, to make would be my famous spaghetti
Omelette.
bolognese. Yeah.
Spaghetti.
The omelette as well, but the spaghetti is really top notch, and I perfected it over the years. And yeah, now it's something just truly out of this world. Um, but I can only do those two dishes. So I make an amazing omelette, an amazing spaghetti bolognese, but that's about it. I can make other things as well, but these are just top of the line. And in terms of what I like eating, obviously I can't eat spaghetti bolognese because I make the best ones. So I, seriously, I really can't eat that.
Yeah, no, it's
Mostly
it's
because
fair. If you feel that way, then definitely, yeah.
it just never tastes as good as mine. Um, what I like. Oh, actually, you know what? I would say maybe not exactly yet, but I would say that kind of in the top of my favorite would be a medium rare steak because I just found out about steaks like 2 weeks ago. I made my first one. Never eaten steak before.
Hmm.
Cooked myself a ribeye, and I was blown away. I can believe it. Like the tenderness and how it felt. And oh my God, it was just
I,
lovely.
I prefer mine where I like to still taste the cow on my meat. Like I like it as close as the animal as possible. Um,
What do you mean? Like
s-
eating a steak next to a cow?
no, not next to a cow. As close to alive. I meant it's a joke. Like I like my meat rare usually,
Really? Like
but
bloody?
yeah, but that's not something I would risk in Romania. I never ate rare meat in Romania,
What?
and I would never. I don't trust
There's that
the
Western
health and
prejudice there.
safety. Like uh, I went just a few times to the doctors, and it was a hassle every time, and I didn't want to add to the risks. And
Also,
yeah, as I said, my first encounter with Romania was with the collective and all the people who died from being at the hospital because of how
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah.
unsanitary it was and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'm not fucking around. Like if I can avoid getting sick stupidly, I will avoid that.
Hmm.
So yeah. So what's your fourth question?
Hmm. Well, since we're going into heavy topics, I'm curious in your situation because although you are named Eric, you are black. So, have you ever been discriminated against, and where was it, and how exactly was it for being black or being Swiss?
Yeah, well, being discriminated for being Swiss would be a new thing. No, so for people who don't know me, I'm not black. You can actually see me on the painting that is attached to the podcast. I'm mixed. But for Alex, for Dulky, it's as close as black as you will ever have a friend. So yeah, I would say that yes, I have encountered discrimination, and mainly in Romania.
See, I was actually I was expecting you to say that.
Hmm.
But okay, go ahead, and I'll try if the situation allows me. I'll try to explain something. But please go ahead.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I separate uh, innocent curiosity
Mm, mm.
that you would get from certain kids and stuff like that from people who are actually being openly like racist or at least they're not treating me fair because of my skin color. I've had a lot of issues. Like every single time I was taking the plane in Romania, uh, when I was getting my pass checked and everything like that, like they would not let me go through, whether I was coming in the country or leaving the country. And in a
Okay.
lot of on the day to day, like in a lot, if not most of the stores I was going into, security would follow me around. It was just a typical behavior. I just started ignoring it because I knew it was going to happen, but mostly with, I would say, older generations of security guards, not young people.
That is so odd.
Young people would never bother me. I never had any issues with younger generations, but with the older generation, it was quite like after 5 years, I stopped paying attention to it. But in the beginning, I was like, "Are those guys serious?" And then I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm the darkest person around, and it must be new to them and stuff like that." But yeah, I've had
Okay.
I tend to let my hair grow. So for the longest time, I had like an afro or very long hair, and it's curly and everything. And kids would come to me and try and touch my hair and
It's
stuff
just
like
out of
that. That
pure
would happen from
curiosity.
time
Yeah.
to time. Yeah, but that's like innocent curiosity. They haven't encountered someone with hair like that before, stuff like that. So I was perfectly fine with that. Like I would rather give them a positive experience so that they are not afraid of maybe like being friends with someone who's darker skinned when they grow older.
Interesting. Yeah, because see, at a place where I worked before, I managed a team, and there were quite a few black people there. And just for people who don't know, in Romania we don't really have a lot of black people. So obviously, when someone comes by, we're very curious in the sense that we've never seen that before. So as you said, for example, that you're mixed. In my view, you're black just because I've didn't have a lot of of comparisons to make. Obviously, what you're saying is true,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
where I worked there, that was for me, it was the first time that I'd seen black people from different parts of the world, and in my ignorance, I could, after working like a few months with them, I could say, "Oh, they actually do look different." And I actually heard a lot of black people saying this
But
about
that's
white people as
that's
well.
fair. If you encounter people for the first time that have, for instance, the same complexion and certain traits that are similar, you cannot say from the get go, oh, I know this one is from Senegal and this one is from Guinea and stuff like that. Like even I have trouble. I could not tell them apart. And the same goes for white people in Europe. You cannot say that this person is from Spain or this person is from France or stuff like that. Some people are typical, let's say, of their country, of what or picture you have in mind of their country, but most of the people just blend in. Like it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
they just look the same, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for me that was the first time where I actually saw the differences, like the physiological differences. For example, from a guy from Nigeria, I think it was. Then there was another guy from the Ivory Coast, and
Hmm.
the physiologies were very different. And I was like, oh, interesting. And yeah, also one of the guys from my team also we also talked about this, and I was just curious, as a person of color, how did he experience, and if he did experience racism, and he what he told me was more in the lines of people just being curious, and people wanting to touch his skin or touch his hair and just see how it feels and that sort of thing. Obviously, women who were curious to see if the myth stands true, and
Yeah, I can't say I have any complaints on that side with girls in Romania.
fair enough. And and yeah, what I discovered with him was that just people were just curious about him, nothing more.
Hmm.
Um, I wouldn't I wouldn't put it beside the older generations to be a bit more racist, but that's the differences between the generations, the younger generation and the people who were like maybe teenagers or adults during the communist regime
Communism, yeah. Mhm.
is very big. Like,
Yeah, and that's why I never took umbrage to that, because I knew that they were coming from another time, like literally from another
yeah,
time.
literally another time.
And yeah, I never felt it as being offensive. Uh, it's generally just ignorance, and of course, they see what they see on TV and stuff like that, and they would tend to watch more TV and act upon what they see on TV. So, yeah, there is nothing. I don't hold any grudges or anything regarding the behavior I was faced with in Romania,
That's good.
because
I was
all in all, I felt like Romanians were all very decent and very nice to me, and I never had anything to really complain about during my
Yeah,
5 years there.
yeah. That's why I was curious because normally we're kind of known of being pretty generous and like to help people, and especially when you come into our homes, like we like to feed you like a stuffed pig and make you drink your brains out
Oh my
and
god, the
that
food,
sort
the
of thing.
quantities of food. Oh, with my oh yeah yeah. This is something I'm going to talk about. Maybe not today, but in another. Yeah, the relationship with food.
Do we love off?
um, what's your fifth question?
This is a weird one. What is your spirit animal and why?
I would have to go with the. So I would say I have like three that I would identify with. Two of them are birds, so that would be any corvid, to be quite frank, but mostly crows of any flock, and owls. And then the third would be the sloth. I think the sloth is a
Really?
very good description of a spirit animal for me. I can be very, very lazy and very slow in doing things. So yeah, it's not necessarily something I like about myself, but it does temper me, as in um, by all accounts, given the family that I have and how they all are, I should have a very fiery temper and be like getting upset for nothing and stuff like that. But this spirit animal kind of balances me out, and I'm more even as a person.
Interesting. Huh.
What would be yours?
Well, not sure if it's a spirit animal or just my favorite animal, but it would be the gorilla. I love the gorilla and
Is it because you have a tiny penis?
and big balls. Well, no, actually, no. With the gorillas, it's the other side, the opposite thing. They have bigger
Mm,
penises and small testicles, whereas the chimpanzees have small penises and big testicles. Because the gorillas have a harem, so they would have like 8, 9 wives. So biologically, they don't need to have big testicles so that they can spread their seed because bitches be lying around. So you don't need to compete with other males as much as chimpanzees do. Chimpanzees are like ready to fuck now. Have you ever seen a chimp's balls?
they're
It's
ready
big,
to go. They are ready to go.
like a
Yeah,
chimp.
yeah, yeah,
One
yeah.
ball is
It
like
sounds odd saying
like
that, but
this.
yeah, yeah, I've seen it, and I wonder if the bonobos have that as well. They might not have that because they're more chill as far as primates go.
One of those are the hairy
Um,
ones, right? The one from Mowgli, the big one.
no, no, those are orangutans. Bonobos are our closest cousins. Actually, they're closely related to chimps, but they don't have that aggressive behavior and they don't try to rip you apart. They're the ones that fuck all the time. Like they fuck to say hello and they have gay and lesbian relationships. Like they
I
just
just
fuck with
do.
everyone all the time. They're the
Doesn't make
chillest
sense.
monkeys.
Oh, you know what? What monkeys
And
are
before
like?
before someone corrects me because I call them monkeys and not apes, apes are monkeys. Monkey, like not all monkeys are apes, but all apes are monkeys. Before someone tries correcting me.
Yes, the internet does love to correct, and I couldn't
Yeah.
care less. So go ahead.
And now I really hope that what I said is correct because otherwise I'm going to catch to catch
You know,
shit for that.
there was a thing on the internet that was said something as in the lines of if you want to get an answer to a question, don't
Just yeah,
don't ask the question. Just say the wrong answer, and someone will correct you immediately. And
yeah, and that works every single time. So why the gorilla then?
um, I just like the power. They have so much power. They're very powerful, but at the same time, if you've ever seen one how they play, they're very childish. So I like this dichotomy of being very masculine and like an alpha, while at the same time being connected to your inner self, inner child. So
Hmm.
that would be like the first one. But this is my favorite animal. What I would say would be my spirit animal, like which represents me to the fullest. I would say a platypus. Those are the cutest things ever.
Yeah,
Like a platypus is a combination between a duck and a what do you call it?
beaver.
A beaver? Yeah, a duck and a beaver.
Yeah,
And
a beaver that will shank you.
that will shank you. They're poisonous as well.
Yeah, yeah, they have a claw that is actually poisonous.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say I
Well,
would
actually, they're venomous, not poisonous.
venomous. Yeah, that's true. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
always forget the difference. Venomous.
We're a very serious podcast here. We get our facts. I think facts on animals is the thing we're going to get the closest to the truth, like to the correctness.
Enough.
All the other topics are like open season, but yeah, I think animals we can easily get the
The fact, right?
proper things.
Yeah,
Yeah, the facts right.
yeah. So I say the platypus because it kind of represents two, like a combination of different animals, let's say, into this weird, unique sort of animal. And I do consider myself kind of a unique human being,
Of
as
course, you
we all are.
unicorn. Of course, you are. You're very special.
Well, that's what my mama and my grandma said. So yeah,
Hmm.
they also said I'm very pretty. So hey, if any girls are watching or listening, that's on my mama. Yeah. Okay. And then
My fifth
the,
question would be, how does it feel being a homeowner? Because yeah, our friend Dulky is a homeowner.
yes, I am a recent. Well, not exactly recent. I would say I have like I bought it in like November. Well, bought it. A mortgage is not really buying a house, but hey, starting one. In November last year. Uh, it's weird. I would say it's weird. It's weird in a good way. First off, I'm not living with my parents anymore, which is just beautiful because I can do whatever I want whenever I want. Don't have to, explain anything to anyone. But with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibilities. So obviously, I always need to tidy up, and it was interesting because you discover this side of yourself that you didn't know before. If you thought of yourself as maybe you're not too, you don't like to clean around the house. Again, if you've lived with your parents, or for example, I've lived with my parents for just a short while, just because I moved to Bucharest, and well, my family's there, so it was just cheaper from a financial point of view for a time.
Hmm.
But otherwise, I've been staying alone for a long time. But usually, with like either a roommate or what do you call it, a host, having the owner of the house live with you, that sort of thing. So they would always cook for me and that sort of thing. I never had to do absolutely everything on my own.
And
So
how
yeah,
was it
yeah.
when you were living with your girlfriends, with your exes?
Um, it was pretty well because we would have like different tasks that we would do. But
Hmm.
again, this is the first time that I've ever just lived alone by myself and have no
Yeah.
other person
Hmm.
in the apartment. So that was the weird part for me. Which in a way is a bit lonely in a certain from a certain aspect. However, you do get to be a lot more responsible with your life. You get to reflect a lot on how to improve your life, on things that you like doing, things that you don't. You become more active in the sense that you don't just stay around all day in the house doing nothing because we're social creatures. So at one point you do need to go out and interact and talk. And for me particularly, it was kind of sucky because I've been working from home for like 2 years because of this stupid pandemic. So I kind of missed that social interaction quite a lot. And then I just became more and more interested in spending time with people that I like talking to, and you basically become more like an adult, let's say. I
Hmm.
would say that's the main thing. And also, of course, you learn a lot of skills that maybe you didn't have before, like dealing with different vendors because I don't know, you have a crack in the window or you have some problems in the bathroom with the plumbing and you have to call the developers and particularly in my situation, it was not a very fun experience because I've had a lot of problems in the apartment because obviously the people who build it, the contractors, they use very cheap material, and I've actually heard this happening all over the world, unfortunately. So
Yeah, it tends to happen.
yeah, yeah. So you have to wait a long time, and there are all sorts of problems that constantly show up, and it's like whacking a mole. You whack a mole, and there's another problem that pops up, and you deal with that. And you learn very quickly that the more you delay dealing with those issues, the bigger those issues become.
Yeah.
So yeah, you learn that you need to become responsible, and you learn that in a way where before you thought that oh, at one point in my life I'll just have the motivation to work out or have the motivation to do things, and you discover that that's just horseshit. Motivation
Yeah,
has nothing
motivation
to
is
do.
bad. No, you need discipline.
You
Motivation is
need it.
shit because
It's just
you have
particular.
motivation at 2 a.m. when you think of a project, and when you wake up the next day, then there's no motivation anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So you find out that discipline is way more important than the motivation, and you start focusing on that and becoming more and more disciplined. And you kind of end up in that mentality where we would see our parents, for example, looking at maybe younger people, and you don't have the same patience anymore with a lot of people. You
Hmm.
don't take no BS anymore because you
Yeah.
realize the most important thing in your life is your time. So you learn how to spend that time very efficiently and to your benefit.
Yeah.
And
That's a fair
that's
assessment. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, all in all, it was pretty nice, I would say. But in my case, it depends because I'm actually open to moving abroad, depending on my next project, what
Hmm.
I'll be doing. But yeah, I wouldn't mind relocating for I don't know, a year, 2 years.
So you would rent out the place,
Um, I think so. Yeah, I think it would be the wisest move. But it all
at least to cover the mortgage, so that you don't have that on your mind while you're away.
definitely, yeah, because obviously I would pay rent in wherever I would live abroad as well. So yeah, that would be an important part. The most profitable would be to have it on Airbnb, actually, especially now with the pandemic being well not over, but the restrictions are off, especially in Romania. There's a lot of
You
tourism
can
coming.
definitely make more than rent, but with rent, you know that the person is going to stay for longer.
Yeah, that's true.
There's that risk. Hmm.
The only problem with Airbnb is that you would need constant supervision. You would need people going there daily and changing the sheets and cleaning up and all that.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
that's
it's not
part
really
of the fees that you put on the rent,
true.
so
True.
that it could cover for someone going there.
Yeah, that's true. But I haven't finished it yet, so there's a lot of things that need to be done in the apartment as well. And this is, I think, one of the aspects where I've seen, let's say, maybe like a difference in how men and women view, for example, like a home. Because I'm
Hmm.
more interested in like the practical things. So I need like a mirror where I can look myself. I need like a I don't know practical things like a washing machine or whatever. And I had a friend of mine come over, a woman, and she was like, "Why don't you have any drapes? Where are the curtains?" I was like, "What? That's like the end of my list. Like there's so many more important things. There's like an AC. I need an AC there and that sort of thing."
Yeah, but
Yes,
then to be fair to the person visiting, they're only visiting, so that's what they were going to be looking at. They're not living there,
true.
so obviously they're going to go for something more superficial. I don't think it has anything to do with that person being a woman. I'm pretty sure a woman buying a place would have the same concerns. Like if the toilet is not working because there is a problem with the plumbing, it will become a priority for them as well.
No, no, definitely, definitely. What I was aiming at was that from what I've seen, women are more interested in making that place a home and making it feel like
Making a
home.
home, yeah.
And they're very focused on details. They would buy maybe certain curtains, or they would buy just small things that would just bright up the room and make it more homey.
Homey,
Whereas to
yeah.
me, I'm just, if I have my Xbox and my TV, then I'm set. Maybe a beanbag and that's it. I don't need
Yeah,
anything else.
because you're a console peasant, that's why.
I am trying to upgrade. I'm thinking about it, but damn, those prices are huge.
Okay, my next question is where would you love to retire?
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Mm.
Technically, I would never want to retire in the sense that I would still want to be active, do things. But if I were,
Let's put it that way then. Where would you want to have your, let's call it a home, or where you're settled? You don't have to stay there all the time, but when you're older, where would you like to be settled? And where would you like to organize your life from?
phew, that's a toughie. That's a tough one because I would have to take multiple things into consideration, especially, for example, the nephews, the grandchildren. I would definitely need to take that into account because in my older years, obviously, I would like to spend time with them and teach them and learn them the ways of the world and making them become the next Ulysses or Imperator or whatever, as he did with what was the name? Augustus.
Augustus?
Yeah, yeah. So I would like to have that fantasy played out. But
First of all, you would need to adopt a kid for that.
which is where I would have a problem because I don't think I would ever do that. That's actually one of the things that I discussed with a friend of mine recently because they had no problem adopting, and I was like, if worst came to worst, I would adopt, but I would prefer not to. And I don't know if this makes me like a bad person or whatever.
No,
It's just
no.
I just need to feel that blood connection with my offspring. I would need to know
Hmm.
that he came from my left nut. So so yeah, that's I would need to have that connection with him. So I would feel a sort of continuity of the genes, basically the gene pool. So I would like to live on an island or an archipelago in Thailand, for example, or something wrong there in Oceania,
Hmm.
um, or somewhere mountainous.
Yeah.
In one of the two extremes, or both, if I would have
Both.
both.
Yeah, I was about to say something that covers both of them,
Yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to just,
but somewhere warm. Then you're the places you're mentioning are like warm places.
yeah, yeah, warm, but
You
also
could go for New Zealand, I guess. They have mountains and the sea,
that
and
would be
it's an
lovely.
island.
And yeah, yeah, I would love to meet the Wizard and Saruman and all the other boys there. That would be cool. Will be interesting. Okay. My next question. Oh, it's a weird one. What was the? And this is a big topic, but we won't have time for it now. But just at a glance, what was the first game that you played that basically just blew your mind? It was just perfection for you at that time.
The
Obviously,
Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
which one?
The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. It's the Legend of Zelda on Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
That's the game. That's why I still buy like every Zelda. I still play all of them. I'm just enamored with the franchise, and I like everything about it. Like whether it be the music or the stories are not very complex. They're not like deep stories or stuff like that. It's just a guy going on an adventure, and it just speaks to
Whose
me
name
because I
was
grew
Zelda?
up. Oh god, Jesus. I think we're going to have to stop the podcast now. This
Yeah,
was
I know
very
people get
nice.
annoyed when they hear that.
Yeah, no, I'm not that kind of person. Like I understand that either people are saying that to annoy like fanboys, or they're just saying that because the it's literally the title of the game, and then you're like,
That would make sense.
that you would think that the hero is called Zelda, but yeah, yeah. So for me, that would be the Legend of the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
That's cool. I've never
Yeah.
played a single game from them. Although I would play Breath of the Wild. That game looks dope.
I think Breath of the Wild is more alongside what you like in gaming. Um, but the others are also very nice. If you buy a Nintendo Switch, you can get most of the older games actually for they would come with the console.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm actually almost done replaying through A Link to the Past.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I have it on Switch, and I just play. I just enjoy playing it. Um, I know that you told me that around this time you would have to go. What we can do is that we can put it up as like part one of the
Okay.
first episode, and then we're just going to have a part two when we get a chance
Hmm.
to record, and that way we have like an hour. That's perfect, and we don't have to have too long an episode. Uh,
Again, the fact that people actually listen to us for an hour and 20 minutes is just mind-boggling to me. It's
Yeah, so and we just went through like half the questions, and we haven't even started with the topics I had for. So yeah, it's actually a good thing that we stop it now, and we can just take it up next time. Uh, Maybe we can do it like early during the week, so that we don't have too much time between the part one and part two.
true. I'm actually free tomorrow. Well, I'm jobless at the moment, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll
Let's say
do
we record the next part tomorrow.
Okay, sounds
Yep.
like fun.
Was very nice. Have a nice evening. Bye.
You too. Bye. See ya.
Hmm. It won't stop recording, and I'm afraid it hasn't recorded, and we've been talking for 1 hour for
No,
for
come on.
nothing.
I hope not.
Let's see if it's just delayed with the. You can hang up now, anyways. I'm just going to figure things out on my own.
I have to go anyway. All right.
Yep.
Well, talk to you soon then.
Yep. Bye
Have a
bye.
good one. Bye.